Everyone knows this place. Like, it's Fletcher's. It's when you think about rugby in Ontario, you think about Fletcher's. When I say I've been coming here for 40 years, I'm probably coming here 40 times a year for 40 years.
My first ever rugby game was at Fletcher's Fields. And this is 2004, and I'm like, I had no idea what rugby was like until that moment. And ever since then, I've been hooked in the game.
The Owls started doing like an all-women's day up at Fletcher's. There's not a lot of other facilities where you'd be able to host 6 or 8 rugby clubs on a whim and just, hey, shoot off a couple emails and say, hey, we're all going up to Fletcher's today.
I have memories of coming here as a little kid. My dad was heavily invested in watching whatever match was happening on the pitch, whether it was an international club, it could have been anything if it was rugby. And the 4 of us were kind of just have to do whatever we want. So there used to be a great playground back at the back corner of the pitches.
This was just a cow pasture, and a group of dedicated rugby guys, maybe there was 10 of them, convinced the 5 clubs and Ontario Rugby Union to acquire this property. It was an incredible coming together of the clubs.
Everybody that has a connection to Fletcher's Fields probably knows someone on the other side of the world that also played at Fletcher's Fields. And so you think about that in context of rugby is a global sport, and there are probably people all around the world that have benefited from the work of those dedicated volunteers 60 years ago.
It's a community space, a hub of that rugby culture. I think it really aligned with a lot of the values that we have in rugby around camaraderie and friendship and mutual respect, and just that idea of, like buying your opponent a drink.
The great thing about rugby is the social aspect with the other team. We beat each other up for 80 minutes and then come up and buy each other a beer after.
This clubhouse here, you kind of feel like it's like Switzerland.
There was concerns about legal liability for managing a bar. So the directors, shareholders of Fletcher's, in their wisdom, decided to create a subsidiary corporation. So they set up the Scrum Club, and the clubs used to take turns running the bar. Very inefficient, very poorly run, tons of money given away to friends and family. And it wasn't long after I joined that we decided we would hire a professional staff.
I sell a lot of beer. Hang out, everybody is happy. They got it out on the field. Not one fight in my whole time here, not one fight. That's why I kept coming back. The people are amazing. I feel like I'm really losing a piece of my family, and it's pretty sad for me too.
I think it's my favorite place is that the guys would watch the girls would watch the guys, and then it wasn't just that, they took care of our kids. And I had a baby. She'd get passed around, all the guys, and she'd be screaming because she didn't like people. And suddenly I'd notice as I was playing, there'd be no noise, and she'd be in Colin Baker's arms, fast asleep. And then as they got older, there was this big dirt patch, and I don't know what was in that dirt patch, but it wasn't just dirt. I'd just plunk them there with a truck and some shovels, and then I'd go off and play. They had one rule, they couldn't cross the parking lot. They were like rink rats, but they were Fletcher's rats.
It's quite a nice day out here at Fletcher's Field, little or no wind.
It should be a great match on a sun-dappled field from Fletcher's Fields in Markham, Ontario.
2 games against the Welsh national team. A huge day with the Irish. I think we had 8,000, close to 8,000 people for that game. Brought in a bunch of temporary stands to complement the full-time stands. And I remember that day very well because it had poured rain for the 3 days leading up to that. We had no parking on the fields. There were cars parked all the way Woodbine Avenue. We rented buses to shuttle people in and out of the facility. It was an incredible day. I spent most of my time with a sump pump trying to keep water out of the parking lot so people could get in and out.
I think there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what comes next with that Fletcher's legacy or what the financials will set clubs up for. It's kind of a life-changing amount of money for a lot of grassroots rugby clubs. So I think to be able to even dream or think about whether it's property or a clubhouse or tours or sponsorship or education or diversity or inclusion or any of these sorts of big picture items that clubs would love to be able to do, but it's really hard when you're underfunded and kind of scraping together old sets of jerseys and money and stuff. I think that Fletcher's endowment will be life-changing for a lot of different clubs.
To come back here and see my daughter play is really kind of a weird full circle thing for me, that I, grew up with this dad who was rugby crazy, and now I have a daughter who's rugby crazy, and now I've become this mom who's rugby crazy. I feel really lucky that the timing of this lined up, that she got into rugby before Fletcher's closed, so we did get to have this summer here.
This place is iconic, and it's sad to see it go. It's been a big part of my life and my kids' lives, and it's going to be tough to fill that void.
When it comes down to it, I think this is home for a lot of people, and that's what rugby is. It's the sense of belonging and inclusion. It's going to be sad to lose this place, but I'm hoping that it grows the game from what can be done from losing this place.
Late 80s, early 90s heydays of rugby here meant the world to me.
I think it is incredible that Fletcher's Fields was created in the way that it was, and that it was sustained in the manner that it was, largely on the backs of really dedicated volunteers, passionate people that saw a purpose behind making these choices and spending significant sums of money at a time on a rugby facility in Ontario. But I think the connection was around, this is for rugby. On the pitch, we might be opponents, but I think that's an undercurrent that probably gets underappreciated, is that for so many years, for 6 decades, 5 rugby clubs in the governing body found a way to support a really important vehicle for our growth as a sport.
That's probably the legacy, is that, when we pull together as people, certainly as rugby players, we can accomplish just about anything. I didn't tell you about the wedding that we had here. Yeah, we had a wedding in 1976 in this place.
Another thing, my wedding ring is out there. My wedding ring's out on this pitch somewhere. I lost it. My wedding ring is going down with Fletcher's. I just realized that.